Chapters. This is Kelly's brainchild, actually, this community piece. And it's been extraordinary bringing together people from all different connections within Shadowcliff to see what we might bring to each other and more people outside of our community, of course. And so look at that list, and then we're going to kind of regroup and see what comes next in another series in the future. I know, I also want to say, I guess, just the normal things we've been doing on Zoom. If you're not speaking, we'll keep muted, and you certainly have the option of keeping your video on or off. But Gabo and I spoke earlier, and he would like it to be, with this small group, pretty conversational. So as he starts through the process, you can just unmute and ask a question. Nothing has to be formal about that. But I do think, just so we can all be sure we know, and so that you'll know everybody, Gabo, we can just do a quick bit of introducing ourselves. And we kind of started that earlier about where we were. So you and I are meeting for the first time today, Kathy Baldwin, and I'm the executive director of Shadowcliff now. And I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And so maybe Kelly, would you go next and say your connection and why? Maybe let's everybody just say why we chose to be here today too. That'd be great.
Sure. Hey everyone. Hey Gabo, what's up? It's good to see you. I'm Kelly Yarbrough. I'm on the board of directors for Shadowcliff. But I was a staff person for a couple of seasons at Shadowcliff, but my first year was in 2009, and I worked with Gabo and Diego and Bob and Judith. Yeah, we had some good times, good adventures. And as Kathy said, I helped get the Communiversity series off the ground, and I feel privileged to have been able to be on staff and see just like all the awesome people that come through the doors of Shadowcliff. So this was just a way to invite those folks across the world to share their stories or skills or what they're up to. And so I'm here to support Gabo and to learn more about what he's doing in Ecuador. I only see like little things on Facebook every now and then, so I'm really interested to learn more here today. So thanks for doing this, Gabo.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Michael, would you like to go next?
Hi. Sorry about the fact that I'm just in silhouette. I've like, there you go, right behind me. Yes, I'm also on the board. I've been director of the HIV retreat at Shadowcliff since 2004, and Shadowcliff is part of my heart and soul, and I'm very enjoying these community things. That's enough.
Christalla, would you like to go next?
Hi, I'm Christalla Khalil. I met Shadowcliff a year ago last May through my connection with Kathy, and my partner and I volunteered over the Memorial Day weekend and then went back in the fall, and Larry's now on the board as the board treasurer. And I'm really enjoying these little get-togethers on Zoom. They're a lot more fun in some ways than the other Zoom stuff I do. So, this is really, I love the variety, and so kudos to Kelly.
Yeah, thank you, Christalla. Raul, you want to go next?
Sure, I can go next. Hi, everyone. Well, Gabo knows who I am. We actually had the pleasure to meet Gabo when he was an intern still in college. And I was, I worked in the Amazon as well in the cloud forest for like 15 years total. And since 2009, I've been like on and off living in Ecuador and outside in the States. Actually, right now I live in Chicago with my fiance. And then, yeah, it's like the last 4 years I worked for a biking company, an international biking company based in California, but I was like in Ecuador most of the time, but moving between Ecuador, Peru, Cuba, in the US. And now I'm like officially retired. Not retired fully, but I'm like I didn't want to live out of my bag anymore. and want to be with my fiance too. So I've been here over a year, since January 2019 in Chicago. Still connected with with all of my friends in Ecuador and Gabo, and like always, like I'm happy to be here to I just saw him, like he's doing great. I've seen Gabo evolve as a guide, as a person. He's a really dear friend of mine, and like I definitely, when I saw this, I wanted to support him and be present here. Right now, I'm like working in a NGO, local NGO in Chicago, working with immigrants. With immigrants, I'm like working with them, kind of using my previous traveling experience that helps in a way some of the immigrant policies that they're doing here. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
I'm so glad that you're with us today. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
Bob and Judith, would y'all like to go next?
Sure. Bob and I were the directors of Shadow Cliff for 10 years, and during that time, Gabo was one of our staff. We hired him and another Ecuadorian who became very good friends, and we stayed in touch for a number of years, but the last few, I haven't heard anything, so I'm just really excited to hear what's going on with him.
So Judith's introduction is good enough for me. So, but it's really nice to. I so enjoyed, Gabo, having you on that the Memorial Weekend call where there were 40-some people, but it was just very joyful to see your face and hear your voice. So thanks for that, as well as this.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Bob and Judith. Hi, Sue. I see that you've joined us. We were just doing some introductions. It looks like you might be in a store or getting settled or something. You're muted. There you are.
Yeah, we're in a store and running late, trying to find something that George needed before I signed on, but I thought I'm just going to sign on and listen without my face. So we're doing introductions. Yeah. So I'm Sue Rempel, and I'm part of the Rempel family. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So I'm Sue Rempel, part of the Rempel family that built Cliff, and has been part of my life since I was 2 years old. And up in America and Ecuador anyway, but my interest about this talk, I just was in Ecuador in January and also in October on 2 medical trips. One was up in the northern part near Otavalo, and the other was down in the south in the Amazon. And I've been in touch with the Amazon indigenous community that we worked with through their guide, and helping raise money. I started a GoFundMe because they are very, very desperately in trouble with food and medicines, and COVID has hit several of the communities there. So anyway, I was looking forward to this talk, and not from my iPhone, but from sitting. But anyway, I'm listening this way until we can get home in a few minutes. Okay.
Thank you, Sue.
I'll sign out.
Thank you. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and get us into recording mode because we want to make sure that we get this for other people to listen to at some point soon. So I'm going to do that.
It says recording.
I'm sorry?
It said recording at the beginning.
Oh, Gabo pushed his record before, didn't you? Okay, good.
My fault. My bad. I'm already recording.
Good. Thank you. So you'll have to send me that recording now, okay?
No problem.
Thank you. All right. Well, Gabo, will you please give us, first of all, when you're doing the recording, will you make sure it's in speaker view so we can see your presentation better? Otherwise, and to see you better when you're speaking. It's up in the upper right-hand corner. It should say either gallery view or speaker. I've done it the wrong way.
I think I got it. Yes, I think I got it. It says speaker view in Spanish.
All right, good. All right. Well, I'm going to turn it over to you. If you would give us just a little background on what you've been up to, and just proceed. And folks, as I mentioned early on, if you're not speaking, let's keep muted, but Gabo wanted this to be more conversational, so if you have a question, just unmute and go ahead and ask. There's no need to raise hands or any of that kind of thing. So let's go. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you all for being here. It's awesome. I'm really happy to share a little bit of this gorgeous land, this beautiful land of Ecuador, especially the indigenous nationalities. I've been a guide, a naturalist guide or an adventure guide, whatever you may call it, for 8 years. And before that, I studied ecology and tourism in Ecuador. And before that, that's how I met Judith and Bob and Kelly in Shadowcliff. And that's how I met. Happy to share here. This is what brought us all together here right now. So this is great. And I've been excited to give this talk and happy to share. So you may ask questions at any time. You can interrupt as long as it's politely, of course. Yes. So I'm gonna share the screen right now. All right. See the presentation here. Let's see how this goes. These appearing cultures in the Ecuadorian Amazon, and you can ask any question at any moment as you like, as like we said, but just have in mind that I'm gonna address several subjects before you ask your questions. I'm gonna talk a little bit about exactly where they are located, and where do they come from, our indigenous people here. Also, I'm gonna address why should we care about indigenous people. I'm gonna talk about uncontacted tribes here in Ecuador. Yes, uncontacted tribes. And why should we leave them alone? And so some reasons why these cultures are disappearing. And finally, some solutions. Okay, so I'm gonna address this. This is what I'm more or less what I'm gonna talk about in this presentation. Yes, so let's get to it, guys. There we go. So here we go. Here's the assuming everyone knows where Ecuador is, of course. Like we have Colombia in the north, and we have Peru in the south. And Ecuador is a country that it has the Andes Mountains all in the center of it. And then we have the coast, of course, and where the Andes finished here, that's where the Amazon starts. All of this area is the Ecuadorian Amazon, all over here. Ecuadorian Amazon is only 2% of the whole Amazon basin in the whole other countries. Yeah, Amazon is huge. It's practically the size of the whole US, yeah, practically. So, but it's only 2% in Ecuador, yes. And as you can see, it's almost half of the country, the Amazon. So it's an important mass. And I just put it a list of all the indigenous nationalities that we have in the Ecuadorian Amazon. There's more in the whole country, but we're just gonna focus on the Amazon area, of course, this time. So yes, all of them, these Amazon Quichua, Chachis, Épera, Siona, Secoya, Zapara, Shuar, Chihuar, Andoa, Siona, Cofán, and Guarani, and the two uncontacted ones, Tagaeri and Taromenani. We're gonna talk more about them soon. They all have their own culture and language and everything. So they all have their own knowledge. They're very, very interesting. All of them, all of their cultures. Also, it's nice. This map is nice because I like this park here. It's called Yasuni National Park. I need to mention it because this is the area where the Guarani. I'm gonna get more into the Guarani in this talk. Because the Guarani, they were just contacted 60 years ago. This is the face of the picture of, where's the mouse? Here it is, the picture of Gaba. His name is Gaba. He's a Guarani hunter, still living. Yeah, so they're living in the inside of this national park, around this area. Yeah, Yasuni National Park is the biggest national park in Ecuador. So you have an idea of the land that it is almost like 2.5 million acres. That's the size of Yasuni National Park, and that's how they are being distributed over there. So more or less where these tribes come from, all of them are pretty much a mix of ancient and already extinct indigenous tribes before them, which they were called the Yumbos and the Cocas. We presume, anthropologists presume they came from the Andes, yeah, from the cloud forest and down. But there's also an ancient extinct indigenous tribe as well. They're called the Omaguas, but they came to colonize this part of the Amazon from the Amazon River. So they came from down the Amazon all the way up here, the Omaguas. So a lot of them are a mix of these ancient cultures, yes? Okay, so I'm gonna go and address more of the uncontacted tribes, but that's when the talk is gonna get a little bit delicate over there, but not yet. We're gonna keep on talking about that just soon enough. So let me get here on why should we care about indigenous cultures in general, not just the Ecuadorians, but in general in the world. I would say, first of all, because of the ancestral knowledge. And in ancestral knowledge, we have technology, agriculture, architecture, and medicine. Technology, when I say technology, it's just the tools that they make. And here we have an example of a canoe made from one single tree. And the canoes are an Amerindian invention. They invented canoes, and they are very effective in going in rivers, and they can handle a lot of capacity, a lot of weight. Among other technologies, many handicrafts and many other tools that we can go on discovering. Agriculture, of course, thanks to Amerindians, we have the world has potato, tomatoes, corn, and peppers, and many other things that I can think of. But thanks to them, the world can enjoy this delicious food. Or architecture, of course, bioarchitecture also. Very important. An example is the Aztecs and the Mayas. Their structures in this pyramid kind of shape, they can withstand earthquakes. We have a lot of earthquakes over here in Central America and South America. And the Aztecs and the Mayas, they have figured out this architecture to withstand these earthquakes. So very interesting, the architecture for sure. And finally, the medicine. Also very, I would say, for me, that's very crucial also. They're one of the most important parts of their knowledge. If we think about it, what we know, just a little fact, science knows only 15% of what is going on in the Amazon rainforest. And indigenous people do know more than science. Yes, for sure. And so going back to the medicine, most of the medicine that we are having today comes from the rainforest, and a lot of it comes from the Amazon rainforest. Just giving you a historical example, if you allow me, it's when the malaria times, when the malaria came to South America through the slaves brought by the Spanish, the African slaves, we were doomed with malaria, and an indigenous person went into the forest and discovered the cure for malaria, the first cure for malaria from a bark of a tree. And then it was brought to Europe, and then this name was twisted in time through ages and civilization and languages. So it can be pronounced to the Spanish and the English. In English will be known as quinine. Quinine. Yes, so again, medicine, very important. Yeah. Another fact that you can see over here is why should we care is a stronger connection with nature. Something that kind of we lost. It seems like not such a big deal, but it is a big deal when you think about, it's not the same to look at a mountain, a volcano, as a deity, like a spiritual thing, like a thing that is taking care of us, that can get angry, that it can do something that it has to do with our environment, than to see the same volcano or mountain as mining. There's gold in there, there's silver, just waiting to be exploited. It's not the same. Or a forest. It's not the same to see the forest as something that is taking care of us and is our mother that is taking care of us, and to see it just as a industrialized, like an industrial thing is going to be bridges or construction. But I think you got the point. Yes, it's not the same. This is why it's so important, the spiritual connection that they have with nature. It's so important. Another point is languages. Languages is also important, because just a word, just a little word on another language gives us a window to see things different. It's also part of diversity. If we all speak the same language, we will all think the same way, and we will all be square-minded, and that's not good. That's just not good. Yeah, and that brings us to the different ways of being. There's just in the slide before, I gave you 11 ways of being in the Ecuadorian Amazon. 11 ways of being. You don't have to be this. If you want to, you can go and join them and be whichever you like. There's many different ways of being, and that is a very nice thought. Okay, let's see no questions so far? Okay, we'll go to the next slide then. I would like to show you this gentleman here. He's called Richard Schultes. He's very important because I would say this gentleman right here is the one that brought this nice knowledge from the indigenous tribes here in South America, in Central America, back to the Western world, shall we say, back to the Western world. He was the first one that he actually cherished. He was an ethnobotanist, and he loved plants. He is known as the father of ethnobotanics. He's from the US. He's from the USA, of course. So he really loved plants, and he figured out that in order to know more about plants, he needed to become friends with the people that know the most about plants, which is indigenous people. And he realized this, and he really had a knack for having really good friendships with them. He was really good. He came down here in the 70s when the Amazon, it was still very like a adventurous place to enter. Yeah, no much access to the Amazon. So he came here in the 70s for sure. And he was paid by the US government millions of dollars to research the coca leaf. And then he came and did research for many other plants like ayahuasca. So in other words, he was paid for trying all sorts of hallucinogens and medicine and all kinds of things in the name of science. Yes, so there's a really good book that I would recommend about him. It's called One River. Excellent, yeah, very fun book for sure. It's by Wade Davis, One River. Okay, let's head to the next slide. Okay, so this is when this talk is gonna get a little bit delicate, and because it's about uncontacted tribes, it might get you feelings of frustration and a bit of sadness because of the situation that is going on. So just have that in mind. So we do have uncontacted tribes. Remember I was talking about the Waorani people. They were contacted just 60 years ago. Yes, from the like a Stone Age era, shall we say, to this era. And the Tagaeri and the Taro Menani, which are these uncontacted tribes that decided not to have anything to do with our civilization, they decided not to have any contact, of course. They are related to the Waorani. So that's pretty much this picture here to the right is more or less how they would look, because they are related. Taga is like family. So they're like families that are still spread around and colonizing the rest of the Amazon. And they were just other families that created their own clans. That's why they call Taga, Eri, Taro, Menani. So it's like their name, their family names, yeah? So, cool facts about uncontacted tribes. They are living proof that humans can still live in complete 100% harmony with nature. Yeah? And this is a big deal. And another cool thing is that they're truly free. Why do I say this? They don't have any passport. They don't have any ID. They don't have anything like that. They're really, truly free people. Yeah. These people that we have in Ecuador here, they are proud hunters and warriors. Very proud. Yeah? They are. If we know this also because since they are really just to go and visit the Guarani, we know more or less how they are. So they feel like when they're hunters, they feel like they are jaguars because they hunt the same way as a jaguar does. Yeah, so they have total reason to feel proud as they are. So it's nice to have them uncontacted like that because this is a way that we can reestablish also our Western world again to connect with nature again, because it's a reminder of what we were at some point. They are a reminder of that. And I just leave this slide with this question for you. Do you think they will have a better life when contacted? So what I'd say is no. And I say they won't have a better life. So why not contact them? First of all, for safety, for both. First of all, as I told you, they are very proud peoples and they're warriors. So that means they are aggressive also. They're aggressive among us. So nobody sees them, and if somebody sees them, it will be the last time you will see them. Yes, and also for them, because we might spread viruses which we're also living right now, virus and many other things just that they are not ready for. So it will just slaughter all of them. So that's in the matter of safety. That's why we shouldn't contact them. Yes, because of the diseases mainly. And another reason not to contact them is because they already, globalization is coming to them. Yeah, globalization is coming to them. And if we contact them, we're gonna give them our world, which is an aggressive consuming society. Yeah. Maybe the first thing that they would like is a cell phone. Give me a cell phone, maybe. I'm just thinking, well, what would they like first? A phone. And it's just a society surrounded by extractivism. Sadly, the situation in Ecuador, when I say surrounded by extractivism, and uncontacted tribes is just like a technical name for it. It's just technical. They're supposed to be uncontacted, but I would say a better or more accurate term for them is like cornered. They are cornered tribes. They are cornered by extractivism. Petrol companies in the north, petrol companies in the south, mining, roads. So they have been contacted not in the best ways already. So they are getting contacted. Maybe they already get machetes. I'm sure they already have machetes, made of steel, and many other things. Maybe loggers getting in too deep. Maybe oil people company getting in too deep, and they get shot. There's some shooting. There's some violent contact going on. And if we contact them and bring them to our world, they just don't know. They wouldn't know how to live like us. They wouldn't have any clue how to live like us. So we're just gonna make them beggars, and we're gonna bring them our stress, our anger, our sadness, because they just know how to live from the forest. And finally, the subject is covert genocides. This is what has been going on in Ecuador for many years. And when I say covered, is because it's not convenient for the state to go public these genocides. Just this subject can go very long, so I won't get that long in there, but I won't get too much in that subject. But in there, it's what has been going on is that the last government, at least, he managed to get the Guarani and the uncontacted tribes to fight each other, to kill each other, and that's what's very convenient for the state, because finally he can exploit the oil. Why is much better for the state is if there's no people there, so there's less reasons for exploit there. Yeah, so I hope you know what I mean. So this is what is being going on in short words in these injustices. This is covered genocides here. So it's a sad thing, because we actually have to fight our own government in order to protect these people. Yeah. Next slide. So some reasons of why indigenous tribes and their culture and the uncontacted people are disappearing. This goes far away in time, when the Spanish came here for the first time. Yeah. So there were two priests. The first priest that came here, it was some stories some records, some stories of some priests, and this first priest brought what they call in racism in Latin America as a straightforward racism. This priest came here and said that the people are like animals. They don't have any soul. They don't have any knowledge of art, no romanticism, nothing. They were just they were considered as animals. Yeah, so that was a straightforward racism by this priest. And then there's another type of racism. They call it, the anthropologists call it soft racism. And to my point of view, is the hardest to deal with, the soft racism. So this other priest came and tell to the other priest, no, they are like us. They are like us. They are like humans. They just need guidance. They just don't know what they're doing. They have no clue what they're doing. So we just need to guide them in the right path, so they have a better life. So this is, from my experience, the worst racism. It's hard to deal with, in a way of a lot of people thinking that we can help them. Do they ask for our help? Do you no? Do you know what would you do if somebody, hey, I came here to help you? What would you say? So I'm sure you will be a lot of interesting answers over there. But yes, they don't have nothing missing in their lives. They have everything that they need. A lot of the government thinks that they are poor because they don't have maybe any economical, they don't have any money, but they have everything that they need in the forest. That's they are happy people. They having the happiest time of their lives. Yes. So in this subject here, when I'm saying help is avoiding to take decisions for themselves, it means that there is a lot of supposed help coming after them, in the form of NGOs, for example. They come to help them, and then but they don't come to they don't monitor the help. They just come to offer it like a real quick, just get my papers signed, and then just go to the next NGO, and then maybe the next day working for all companies. So it's kind of like hypocritical help in a way. Same with the missionaries that came and contacted them at first. So they actually, going back a little bit to the NGOs, they actually got tired of this kind of help, because it's not actually help them at all. So they got tired, and they got used to these NGOs trying to help them. So they don't know. Sometimes they come and when you go and try to do something good for them, is what they ask you. What do we do? What should we do next? Says, you asking us what should we do next? They should know what should do. Yeah. So this kind of not helpful help is actually very bad for them. Yeah, it's very bad for them. And this is also because of sadly every culture is ethnocentric. This is a very interesting term, ethnocentrism. To explain more this term, if you go to the Greeks everything that was not Greek, well, they were barbarians, right? They were things like they thought they were the center of the world, and they were the only people that were right to do what they were doing. Same with the Aztecs, for example. Another example, the Aztecs. If someone did not speak Nuatl, the language, they were not humans. And same with the Guarani, the same people here in Ecuador. The Guarani means the people. So in the past, anything that wasn't Guarani was not human. So sadly, we gotta fight our own ethnocentrism. Yeah, every culture is like that. So we gotta fight our own ethnocentrism for sure, guys. This is the only way. Let's see the next slide.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So with the Guarani, and there's numerous tribes, correct? There are a number of different tribes, right?
Right.
What are sort of like, what's the population of this one and some of the other ones? What on app, is it big variance? Like, are some really,
That's a good question. Thank you for your question. I like that one. Guaranis, interesting thing about the Guaranis is they are about 5,000 people, about 5,000 contacted Guarani. Uncontacted, maybe 300, maybe. I would say less, but we don't know. The interesting thing about the Guarani is the people, the nationality that has the most territory in Ecuador among all indigenous tribes, but is the least in population. They are 5,000 compared to the Amazon Quichua, which are 2 million of them. But they don't have the same territory as the Guarani. Might be because of their hunting and warrior background. That's why they have a lot of land in Ecuador.
So when you say uncontacted and contacted, then it's not 5,000 plus 300 all in one community. There's different communities of the same tribe living separately?
Yes, that's it. That's right, Michael. So yeah, 5,000 contacted Guarani, and I would say Tagaeri and Taromenani, which are related in. So the Guarani that used to live, and he was the only person that was able to get contact with the uncontacted ones. He said that they speak their language, Wao Terero, but with an accent, with a weird accent that they couldn't quite understand. He understood, but it was hard to understand his accent. That's what this sort of ambassador, he died, but because of the government should have protect this ambassador, because imagine he's the only person that has contact with the uncontacted, but they just looked the other way. They just looked the other way, and they really didn't care at all. The government never did. Yeah?
Can I add something, Gabo?
Sure.
Michael, to your question too, I think the uncontacted tribe, also they're called, I think a lot of people call them also voluntarily isolated. They are semi-nomadic, so that's why they need so much land. So they're always on the move. They never stay in one place for probably more than 2 months, and they just keep moving. So the idea is that they never they don't like exhaust their resources, their hunting resources. So they're always moving, and that's why it's also like, they don't really know. They estimate 300 people, like Gabo say. But the contacted tribe, the Guaranis, they are, they have heavy contact with the Western world. They go into the Amazonian cities. A lot of them are sometimes even working for oil companies. Like Gabo said, like they got used to, like they got our way of living, depending on a job instead of depending on the forest like they used to.
Thank you.
And what some things I read though, like I don't know if Gabo read this elsewhere, but what I've read and like from my work experience, so like I heard Taromenanis they are actually a little bit different. They're not fully directly connected with the Tagaeris, with the Tagaeris. Tagaeris are directly from like a branch or a family from the Guaranis that decided to not join the missionaries when they were there. The Taromenanis were isolated from the whole group who knows when, but then that's why they have like a different accent, So people believe, some historians and some anthropologists think it's actually a completely different language that derived or was the beginning of the root of what the Guaranis speak now.
Thank you, Paul. Gracias, mi brother. So yes, guys, this is what is happening. It's a bit sad to see even the Guaranis in the city. Like Paul could definitely agree with me. They're not the same. You see the smiles that we can see in this photo over here. It's erased from them when they go to the city. They are beggars. They don't know how to disinvolve themselves in the city. It's a side view. Well, this is the contrary. When they're in the forest, they are the forest. They are definitely are, and you cannot erase their smile from their face. They're very, very interesting people for sure, the Guarani. And it's interesting in Ecuador, from here, from where I am, for 10 hours from Quito, the capital of Ecuador, 10 hours from here, you can go back to the past. Go back to the past, meaning you can go back to and see how the Guaranis live. And this is a very interesting thing that we have here in Ecuador, very, very special here. Yes, and the missionaries also, they brought this ethnocentric kind of thinking that they have, thinking that they have a better life, they're gonna give a better life. And they were contacted by the missionaries 60 years ago. I believe there's different texts also about it, and they say that they were contacted by an airplane, sending an airplane with dropping a box full of gifts, mirrors, photographies, sugar, and salt, and other gifts. That's what they say, and a recording in their own language, Guauterero. And this recording, they learned their language from the very first Guarani lady. She was called Dayuma. So they say that before, in that age, in that year, the Guaranis were at war. They were at war for many, many, many years. And this Dayuma lady got tired of these wars among them. So she escaped and finally came to our civilization. She was found by the missionaries, and then the missionaries learned their language, and that's how the contact started with the Guarani. So we're almost actually at the end of this talk, because I'm gonna talk about some solutions for this. So the first solution will be stop extractivism. Easy, right? Stop extractivism, stop the petrol, stop the logging, stop the mining, stop everything, because it's just messing with the indigenous people over there that we actually need for our own survival. Value their culture will be another solution. As you can see some happy tourists just enjoying themselves with the Guarani people over there. Valuing their culture, when someone goes and visit, from my point of view, when someone goes and visit, is a great way to value their culture, because the indigenous person will say, wow, this guy came from all over, from the other side of the world, or so far away just to see how I live. He would say, wow, so what I'm doing must be the right way. What I'm doing must be right. Yeah, so value their culture for sure. And the education, finally, unless you have some other maybe suggestions, guys. Also education, but we don't have to. When you want to bring education to them, you don't have to fall in the same mistakes as the many NGOs and missionaries. It will have to be an education in order to stand our own civilization, to fight globalization in a way. You need to be adapted. What I think exactly is like what the government already demands you to study something in order to graduate from school and etc. So what I would say is add an extra thing about their own culture. Organize the elders, which have the most knowledge of these cultures. Organize the elders and and organize them, and for every kid, every person that would like to learn about their own culture, to organize and learn the, let's say, the Guarani way again, to just that way. And environmental education, I think, is very important, because, for example, just a little example is when we bring them a candy. You know, they just bring a candy, and maybe they think it's like a peeling a banana. You know, they peel that candy and they drop the peel of the banana because it's organic, but the candy peel is not organic anymore. So they don't have, nobody told them how to adapt themselves to our world. So it has to be this adapted environmental education to their needs and what they want, being very careful to falling back again to these mistakes of the people a lot of people in the past. Yeah. And this is the last slide, so I would like to end with this this question that I found in a very interesting book that I will tell you at the end. Is when will America be discovered? A lot of people think that it was discovered by Christopher Columbus, but not really. This is because we know. The question is because we know more about ancient extinct cultures than the cultures that we still have. We know more about Babylon cultures. We know more about Egypt. We know so much more about cultures that are long gone, and we pretty much don't know anything about so many tribes that we still have in South America and many other parts of the world. They can give us so much knowledge that we already talked about in the first slides. And this is also because their knowledge is not written, like we are used to in our world, that it was brought by priests again. This writing down into things and passing the knowledge like that. They pass their knowledge constantly in talks. When they come back from a hunt or fishing or doing something interesting, they sing to the tribe before entering the tribe. This is an example of the Guarani. They sing and they start telling what happened, telling their knowledge, what happened. Then later they can go into the fire with their families and getting together and telling stories and listening to the elders. So this is how they share their knowledge, and this is also being lost. So yes, guys, I think I covered pretty much all of it. So if we can go for more questions if you have anything. If not, thank you very much. I'm leaving some contacts over there if you would like to support also our own project, which is called We Preserve. And it's in order to preserve cloud forest, right now cloud forest in Ecuador and indigenous cultures. Right now we're starting with the Waorani also. So yes, guys, thank you so much.
This is great, Gabriel. I have kind of a twofold question. One is, a lot of times when there's a society or a community or a culture that's kind of isolated, and you said that some of them were like there were the 5,000 contacted and 300 not. But a lot of times when there's something like that, whether it's, some of our Native American tribes many years ago, or you could even look at like the Amish today, they kind of have their own life and their own culture and their own whatever. And you always hear about somebody's young and they kind of find out about the rest of the world. And so they want to leave and they want to go to the city, they want to find out they discover there's this whole world out there. So is that an issue with these different tribes that some of the younger members want to leave and they want to go to Quito or wherever, or just they want to get out of that, or is the life so complete there? Is their culture and their society and their life so complete that they have no desire to leave? And the second part of my question is, the ones that are really isolated, are there any sort of religious beliefs or customs or whatever, and like, do they know that brothers and sisters don't marry and have children, and cousins don't marry and have children? Because when you have a small group, that can, anyway, so would do your best, whatever.
No, thank you, Michael. Thank you for your questions. They're great. So the first one is definitely a yes. There's a lot of, for example, when the tourism, when we go visit the Waorani, and can we go maybe back to the screen? I just stop sharing this, right?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yes.
Then we
there
can.
we go.
Yeah.
I can see
There we are.
you guys. Yeah. So yes, they would like, for example, when I go, or when anybody from the outside world goes there and they see I have this right here, what I'm holding right now, they also want this. This is like endless entertainment. So it is an issue because they feel like their culture is not cherished. So what it takes is actually for them to go to the Western civilization, and then there are some cases I have some Waorani friends that actually they don't like this life. They say, oh, I don't like this, and they just want to go back to their forest. They just want to go back to the rivers. But there's two sides. There's the one that wants to go and stay in the city and have endless entertainment, or shall we say, and there's the other one that, no, I have endless entertainment in the forest as well. So there's the two things. The two things that can happen, and there's not much to do it. I think the only way is, again, education. But education is available for them, but it's gonna have to be their choice if they want to be educated again by their own culture, right? And the other question. Tell me again, Michael.
Societal norms and societal established things you do and you don't do, and then having the children not with your brother and sister, and any kind of religious or spiritual beliefs. Societal norms, I guess is.
So thinking about the uncontacted, nobody knows what is really going on with the uncontacted. So that's why the uncontacted, if somebody would have known, it's probably not living. But just judging by how the Waorani used to live before the contact, they believe in Mother Earth, pretty much, like in nature. For example, what is cool about the Waoranis is the jaguars. When someone dies, they reincarnate in a cat, meaning it could be a jaguar. So they will definitely respect the jaguar. They will never hunt a jaguar, ever. Also, they have a lot of respect for snakes, especially the anaconda. Because let's say the anaconda, it's a lot of mythology surrounding the anaconda about them, and the anaconda is the one guarding their version of heaven. She will be like a fly. When you die, there will be a giant anaconda flying in the sky, and you go into the heaven, and the anaconda will be the one judging you. Like, you will look at your eyes and see if you're worthy to, and if you have their earrings, their rings, like these big, I don't know. If you have that, you can go to heaven as well. And also, anaconda is where they came from. In the beginning of the mythology, there was a huge anaconda also flying. This same anaconda flying in the sky before anything was created. And then this huge harpy eagle came and grabbed the anaconda, and the anaconda tried to escape. And the harpy eagle just crushed it in half. And from the head became women, and from the tail became men. Yeah. So there's a lot of magic, a lot of legends like this. So definitely, and they were afraid of they didn't know how to swim. There were a lot of the tribes in the Amazon. They don't know how to they are river people. They are water people. They know how to make canoes and everything else, but not the Waorani. They were like in the upper hills of the Amazon. There were some hills, so they were truly forest people. So, but then now the other tribes taught them this technology. They even became better at it. In the case of the Guaranis, from my perspective, they became better fishers because they made their own goggles from rubber boots that tourists came, or petrol companies, rubber boots, and they make goggles out of that. They make their own harpoon guns with the rubber from the same the rubber boots. So they are just going it's like snorkeling in the low water, clear water, and fishing incredibly. And maybe they are marrying maybe they're coming incest. Maybe they're doing incest. Maybe so. If you think the war, what started this war among the Guarani many years ago before the contact, the war started because apparently there were not enough women in the tribes. There were not enough women. So the war started when this hunter, this proud hunter or warrior, went and stole the woman from another family, Guarani family, and then you got thousands of years of war right there. So I wouldn't be surprised if there will be incest going on.
Thank you so much. Very interesting.
Gabo, do you? I'm sorry.
Paola, I wanted to, while you're speaking, will you let people know the resources that you put in the chat in case folks want to click on those?
Yes, there was, I don't know if 2 years ago, Gabo was talking about the government putting the contacted tribe against the uncontacted tribe. And there was this case of a killing. There was a case of one of the contacted tribes getting ready to attack one of the isolated tribes. And within our community of guides and conservationists and anthropologists, we all knew what was going to happen, and raised the alarm to the governments. And they actually, government didn't do anything, so they continue with the plan, and then eventually, supposedly, attacked a whole group of uncontacted tribes. They say probably around 30. Women, children, and men were all shot, except for 2 little girls. So there was somebody in the city of Coca, and he actually interviewed a lot of the people that was part of this attack, because they will come to Coca as usual. And then he published a book, and in the midst of the whole thing, the government, to try to cover the tracks, they were trying to forbid, they were trying to completely regulate the book and not let it publish. So he, instead of being attacked by the government, he just published it online. So that's the first book. It's called Una Muerte Anunciada or something like that.
Hidden Truth, I think it's called. Hidden Truth. I don't know if it's in English. So I think it's only in Spanish.
It's only in Spanish, yeah. So I put it in Spanish, yeah. But if you guys,
that one is very frustrating.
It's very detailed. It's a little gory at some points, and there are some pictures. I believe I was in tears reading through the whole book, because it's very sad, the whole thing. And the other book is a very old book. It's kind of tells the story. That one's in English, called Savages by John Kane. It's that's the intro to Guarani tribes and how the SIL is called international languages missionaries. They've done this all over the world. With the idea of basically gathering different languages from different tribes, but they also were missionaries, and a lot of the studies show that they were actually working with a lot of oil companies and mining companies in order to soften the tribes, before the actual people went in, the actual companies went in. But this one is talking about the first contacts of these missionaries with the Guaranis in the 70s, or actually even before that, how the whole thing went down until, what we have nowadays.
Yes. Another book.
The other thing Indian Givers.
Sorry. I just wanted to recommend another book over here by Jack Weatherford, The Indian Givers. Very interesting. Also, by the way. Also.
I don't know if from my experience too, how you work with some of the guys in Shiripuna Lodge. When Michael was asking about what are the structures in society, as far as I know, the men and women have very equal rights at some extent, to the point that sometimes there are some women that have more than one husband, and there are some men that have more than one wife. And back in the days from the Warren stories and tales is that they also had there was a lot of war. There was a lot of war, but a lot of the war was actually securing females to avoid intermarriage and incest and all that stuff that Michael was asking. So that was part of the whole thing before, just kind of like attacking a tribe, and then the men and the boys basically will get killed off, and all the females, the reproductive age females, will be taken by the new tribe, and that was the way of living, and that's how they secured genetic exchange within their communities.
Gabo, I see Sue has her hand up with a question. Go ahead, Sue, unmute.
Yes, your talk's been really interesting. I have in January, when we were done with the Quechua community in the Amazon, I was very impressed with, even though they were close enough and going into the village, how they really had so much of their own culture in isolation and wanted as little. They invited us because they needed health care and we were a medical team. But when we were in the north, the indigenous we went to up north fall, they seemed closer to Otavalo, but they were more integrated and still both really suffering. But my question, I guess, was Carlos, who was our guide down when we were visiting the Quechua down the river into these communities, I contacted him when COVID happened just to check in on how things are going there, and he said that it's been very, very hard because it's really dangerous to go into the village where they go down the river on the boat and to buy whatever food they have to trade, but they don't have the income to really buy food, and then they get COVID and come back. They don't have hand washing and all the basic hygiene to keep it from running through the communities, and so there's this really difficult spot. And one of the things that one of the people in the community wrote, and he translated, was because I said I've been sending them money, but they need much more than I can give for their medicines and stuff. He said, thank you for helping me. Nobody, our communities, there's no one out there that helps us or cares for us. And the implication in the way it was translated by Carlos was that they really felt alone. And there's, to me, this juxtaposition between, well, they don't want a lot of interaction from what they had shared, and it's not safe right now. And yet I wondered, are there any other agencies that are giving financial support? I've started a GoFundMe, but I've just raised $800 and something, but it can go so quickly with their medicines as well right now as and the concern for wiping out a whole village when COVID hits, if somebody goes in to get some food or whatever. So I just wondered what you know about that, and if there's any other place I can help connect them to, because they felt what they expressed was just the sense of that we don't have anyone to help us. And they couldn't believe that we were here in America, just a couple of people trying to send them some money. But I wondered what situations. I'm more familiar with conditions up north and where there were communities we networked with, other organizations, Ecuadorian organizations. But this particular one, what is your impression of that? Or
Yes.
are people alone, or are they missing opportunities to connect? Or
I think they are mostly alone. I think the only one that I know, maybe Paul knows other organizations. I know Amazon Frontlines. Mm-hmm. Amazon Frontlines is an organization that does a lot to help them. That's the only one that I know. And I've been in meetings with I'm like going in when I shouldn't. These meetings among the indigenous people, and I shouldn't be there, but I just want to hear what they say, and I just listen. And they're complaining about the government, that the government, for example, never did anything about the COVID. They never told them that it's coming, if it's how serious is the situation. They never knew. They were just, I was listening to this conversation, and that's what they were saying, that they felt on their own all the time, even right now. And they were saying, even it was a big community. It was a lot of people in that Zoom meeting, and they were sharing some medicine from the forest. Since they were totally alone, they had to go in the forest and find plants and medicinal plants from the forest on their own. And they were giving giving examples. This mixed with this, and this has given results. Another example, this mixed with this and that, and this tree and this bark has been giving the results. This and this and this, and they were just trying to help each other, trying to give medicine to try and treat this virus. But yes, they sadly are by themselves, and the only what we can do right now is get ourselves organized, like Amazon Frontlines. And what I'm trying to do, I'm here locked in Quito. I am not able to get out of the city, so I'm not able to, not even to go and visit them. How really are they? I can only talk to them through Zoom for the few people that have access to the internet. Yeah? Because this is I've only heard from people that have access to the internet, and they always asking me, hey, can you help me with doing this and that? And this is, yes, I would like to, but I can't get out of the city. So it's a bit hard, but a start is getting together with them, of course, and just support each other. But that's what I think of the situation. I don't know if Paul, if he's listening, maybe knows of other organizations.
I want to also suggest that we can share email addresses after this, so that you all can stay in communication about some of the details of this. I know we're a little bit over the time that we asked you for, Gabo, and I want to be respectful of that. I don't know if you want to take one more question before we wrap up, or if there's anything you'd like to do in conclusion of the time.
Yes, definitely questions. No problem. If anybody else has some question.
Anybody have or a comment or anything?
Sorry?
Okay. Well, we thank you so much for this time. I have learned a lot today. It's a whole new landscape for me, and I would love if we could all stay in communication. Paul, thank you for joining us as well, and all of the helpful resources that you offered.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gabo. Thank you for organizing this.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Great idea. Great idea. This is
good. Well, maybe we'll do it again, or we'll have part 2. How about that? We'll get back in touch with you for part 2. All right, everyone. Have a lovely afternoon. And thanks again, Gabo. And send me that recording, please.
For sure.
Thanks, Gabo.
I'll see you.
Thanks, Gabo. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anytime, anytime. Michael, Sue, everyone, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
I'll
We'll be in touch.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.